we just finished Ireland's Strongest Man 2022. You can see some of the clear up happening behind us. Confetti everywhere. I got domed in the head with a big lump of confetti, Martin.
Yeah,
there
was a lot of it today.
That's ever happened to me. I actually felt quite wonderful. I felt like a bit of a mermaid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Done, mate.
So yeah, this was the 23rd Ireland's Strongest Man final, and what a final it was. We had a wee bit of a late kind of pull out there. Pal Dwyer, the current champion, 5 times Ireland's Strongest Man, had pulled out of Ireland's Strongest Man.
Injured, I believe, and we wish Pa well.
Event number 1, we had 12 of the strongest men in Ireland represented the whole of the 4 provinces here in Ireland. And event number 1 was the arm over arm chain drag. 305 kilos had to be pulled up a 20-metre course. What an absolute brutal event to start the final.
Just like the ladies, it's on grass. It's always going to be hard. As I said before, grass is not flat. It's got divots. It's going to dig in. It's a real hard starter, mate. There's no doubt about that.
It was called kind of billed as the dash and pull.
Yeah, the dash and
the
pull.
guys were having to sprint 20 metres. I mean, it's just hilarious, to be honest, watching strongmen sprint down a course, because there's all different kind of running styles.
Not really a sprint, is
No.
it? More of a light jog.
Light jog. And they get into this kind of the seated position, into the platform,
Yeah.
and kind of use their weight initially to get the chain drag going, and then it's all forearms, all legs, as fast as they can go.
Unlike a truck pull though, it's not the initial pull might get you somewhere, but it's going to stop dead again, and it's dead in the grass, you know, so it's every pull counts on this one.
Brutal, and we could hear the grimaces throughout all of the competitors. There was only 4 guys out of the 12 athletes who completed the 20-metre course, which showed how brutal this event was. But the winner was Sean Diver, with 53.76. I mean, he was just so athletic. I actually couldn't believe that he won this event.
He's fantastic, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure where he come from. I don't know much about him, respectfully. I don't know much about him. I've not heard his name come up. If we'd have done a sweepstake on who won, I wouldn't have put in, his name in the hat. And he comes out and blitzes the first event, and he done fantastic.
He was excellent, and he beat Lee Walsh, who was in 58.73. He won that event in the qualifier, which showed how fast Sean was. And a special shout out goes to Miles Hutchinson. Hutchinson of County Derry was a bit of a late call up to this event. We had a bit of a pull out, and he put up an absolute amazing performance. One of the lightest guys in the show, I believe he's in around the 90 kilo class, was 65.32. He was one of the men to finish that event, so well done, Miles. Event number 2 was the block press medley. As seen in the UK Strongest Man, these have kind of been welded into kind of a nice kind of box, kind of made shape. And they're really, really awkward. They're almost like suitcases, really awkward looking suitcases. But they're colourful, they're pretty, but they're not pretty to lift.
They're not pretty to lift at all, and Glenn's made them really hard. He doesn't ever make anything easy. It's got to be big, it's got to be awkward, and you've got to you've got to bend yourself right back, lift it up, and it's very, very difficult, no doubt about it.
At 80 kilos, 90 kilos, 100, 110, and a massive 120 kilos, which is seen in the UK Strongest Men, and they were really, really struggling with this.
They were.
And there was only 2 men in this lineup who pressed that 100 kilo block. And it was Sean Diver and Killian Groom, and it come down the time, and Killian Groom was initially first out in that event based on his performance in the arm over arm, and it was absolutely impressive. He done 53.45, but Sean Diver come out and absolutely blistered 3 blocks with 42.7. I mean, the technique, I just can't. This guy just keeps surprising
Technique
me.
was fantastic, probably like he does it every week, and I can't see any person ever wanting to do block press every week, but he looked like he practiced it, put it that way.
And a special shout out goes to Nicky Will. Nicky, we hope your head heals well, because I don't know if you noticed, Martin, but he tried to rest the block on his head and cut a big
I know,
slice on his forehead.
Well, he's experienced enough to probably know that he shouldn't do that. No. It's fair to say.
Event number 3 was the tire flip. 400 kilos had to be flipped up a 20-metre course. This is an absolute mammoth of a tire. On grass as well, kind of makes it even a bit more difficult with footing. Guys have to really pay attention to their footwear. Maybe they have to wear football boots, kind of grippy shoes. It was really up to them. But the fastest man in that event was Killian Groom. 37.02. he just announced himself into the final with that win, Martin.
Yeah, he did. He's like a man possessed, actually, to be totally honest with you. He went down off like a shot, and his technique was fantastic. He's up and over, up and over. He didn't miss a beat, to be totally honest with you, and he got it done. And it was at that point, you knew he was going to be a contender, because he really announced himself, as you said, announced himself on the scene. And everyone was sitting up and thinking, Killian can do this today.
There's a bit of a pressure for Killian at the moment. He's fourth in UK Strongest Man. He was runner-up last year, and also with Pau Dwyer pulling out. I mean, he was clearly going to be the favourite this year.
Yeah, one of the favourites, definitely, Killian, and people are talking about him, and that puts pressure on you as well, you know. And you know, he's a young lad. I'm a massive Killian Groom fan. I really am, and I've got to be honest, you know, as you say, pressure, it all comes with, when people are talking about you, you know you're good, but you've got to come out and actually prove that as well.
And in that event, a special shout out goes to Matthew McCoy. Matthew McCoy, 44.09. He's an absolute showman with the tire flip. He's so explosive. He always does it with a smile on the face. And keep back going, Matthew, because you're a great entertainer.
Brilliant, yeah, never change, Matthew. just try and give me a bit more when I'm trying to interview you. He gives you one-word answers. He's like the absolute nightmare to interview. But you know what? He's a showman. Just as he said, keep doing what you do.
Event number 4, an event that hasn't been seen in a lot of the contests these days, because basically by the length of the time we're trying to make these kind of a production, bit of an entertainment, and it was the deadlift for maximum, an event that can take quite a long time due to the number of athletes, and we had 12 athletes, but we had two bars either side. We had a bar either side, which is a lot of illegal plates, that's a lot of plates.
I'll be honest with you, a deadlift in this sort of weather today at that point in the competition could actually be our worst nightmare, and I did think that for a second. But it wasn't a beat. It wasn't like that at all. And you're going to explain why.
In the deadlift, we had some absolutely amazing performances. We had 340 kilos was kind of where it really took off in the contest. We had Gavin McNamee, one of the lightest guys in the contest. He's in the 90 kilo class.
Yeah.
He's actually trying, I believe, to go for a record 4 times his body weight.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely unbelievable. So good luck to him if he tries that, but I wouldn't want to do that.
No, never in a million years.
Not at all, but he done 340 kilos. We also had Jamie McNamara. Jamie McNamara, Martin, I mean, the significance behind this guy, I mean, you can see we're in Morgansfield, Limerick. That is where he originally from. I believe he's round the corner, and he was late to the athletes meeting. I don't know what he was doing.
No.
He must have had
he lived around the corner, he was like,
He was late.
Yeah.
But he pulled 340 kilos. He went at 4 days notice for the contest. It was brilliant.
Well, it's weird because he's late to the competition, yet I think most people were supporting him here. It was amazing. It was so loud for Jay McNamara. It was crazy. He definitely had a second person with him on every lift, shouting for him for sure.
And the other 3 men that deadlifted 340 kilos that we've already mentioned was Sean Diver, Matthew McCoy, and Killian Groom. And it all come down then to the next jump, which was 350 kilos. Which only 2 men were able to lift. Yeah. Matthew McCoy and Killian Groom. Yeah. 2 of probably the best deadlifters in the country right now.
Absolutely, without a doubt, 2 of the best deadlifters in Ireland, no doubt about it. And you know what? It was very, very exciting. And it happened quickly as well. This hadn't lingered on for very long at all. This come around very quickly. We're down to 2.
We're down to 2, and then from that, the athletes kind of had a little bit of a debate. Yep. This is where a bit of tactics come in. Is one guy going to lift it and gain maximum points, and the other guy's going to maybe take less points, or are they going to split it? And they have a bit of trust with each other. I don't know. But they both went for 355 kilos. That was loaded on the bar, but Killian kind of just put his hands on the bar briefly and just left it.
You know what? I thought he could have pulled that. I was really surprised. I got really excited. I thought they're both going to go for it. And then Killian didn't go for it. And then I thought Killian had he'd done a bit of a master stroke, because, I thought McCoy might have known something that we didn't, and McCoy weren't going to lift it. But tell us what happened.
Matthew McCoy was able to deadlift to 355 kilos. I mean, he was kind of shaking up the shins, but once he got it past the knees, it was an easy lift.
Would you ever back against Matthew McCoy though? If you say he can't do it, he's the sort of person that will just do it to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
and that's what he did.
He's a super freak.
He is an absolute machine when it comes to this sport.
And the final event for the 23rd Ireland's Strongest Man was the Stones of Strength. We had 100 kilos up to 160 kilos. 5 stones had to be lifted onto that 4'3" barrel. I mean, this is, if the guys wanted the title, they had to lift all of those 5 stones. And I kind of come down to tactics in the end, but a bit of a fast 4 from Matthew McCoy. Fastest 4 stones that we've seen today was 18:39. Unbelievable performance from Matthew. Just wasn't his day today, but it was great in the stones.
Yes, he was.
The winner in the stones was Killian Groom, the only man to lift 5 stones. That 160 kilo stone onto that barrel in a time of 27:44. Most people couldn't even run 24 or 200 meters in that time, and he was able to lift all of those stones onto that.
Struggling to keep up with it.
So it was absolutely amazing to see all of those athletes, and the standard that we actually talked about it more during kind of the show when it was happening. The standard of the athletes that's coming through at the minute is absolutely sensational.
Brilliant.
All of the guys seem to, in that lineup bar 1, were actually able to lift 4 of those stones.
Yeah.
My dad used to call that 145 kilo stone the manhood stone.
Yeah.
For those guys kind of taking that from that novice onto the pro level, and it just shows the way the sport's going at the minute.
Oh, it's just evolving and it gets better year on year. And you know what? Strong man, strong woman in Ireland, I don't think it's ever looked so good and so exciting, to be honest with you, Marcus.
In 3rd place, we had Matthew McCoy, a former Ireland's Strongest Man, on 47 points. It was a great performance, but it just wasn't his day today, but I'm sure he'll be back next year.
Yeah, do you know what? For Matthew McCoy, he normally makes up the point somewhere, and he just didn't quite click into that final gear today. Yeah. And do you know what? On another day, maybe, but weren't a beat today.
In 2nd place, I mean, I think the pressure maybe got to him a little bit today. As he kind of got better as we went along. Yeah. But 2nd place was Killian Groom. 2nd place once again in Ireland's Strongest Man. But Killian, keep working. You've clearly a great family around you.
Oh, do you know what? What can you say about Killian Groom? I've already said I'm a massive fan of his. Love him to pieces as a strong man. He's fantastic to interview. Fantastic for the sport. Fantastic as an Irish strongman ambassador. And we're going to see a lot more of him. This title, mark my words, will be Killian Groom's at some point, because he's going to work. He won't stop until he's got it. I thought when he loaded that 5th stone, there's so many scenarios that could have happened with the scores, and I thought he'd possibly got it. I wasn't sure, and he celebrated like he got it. He didn't know himself. But as we know now, it wasn't to be.
Well, he had 51 points, but the winner with 54 points, probably the best debut since Andrew Sheenan, a guy from West Cork, who won the Ireland's Strongest Man on his debut. Yeah. And this is definitely up there with it, because this guy, we were down in Kilkenny a couple of weeks ago for the Ireland's Strongest Man qualifier, and he just burst into the scene. I think he was 3rd in the qualifier. And he's come on today and he has won Ireland's Strongest Man with an absolute impressive performance. Ireland's Strongest Man 2022 is Sean Diver of County Donegal.
Congratulations.
If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe below, and let's see some great comments of what you'd like to see. And if you want to go to an Ultimate Strongman show, get your tickets, ultimatestrongman.tv, and we'll see you there.